Welcome to Quick Hits. I'm your host, Shannon Smith, aka Podcast Smitty, and I am a fan of sport. And you know that I'm a big fan of the NFL, and I'm really a big fan of this free agency that's been going on. It has been a frenzy since Monday. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack. We're going to be talking about our favorite teams. We're going to be talking about moves being made, all these players that are re signing, players that are being traded, players that are being picked up by new teams. We got to cover it all right here. And yes, I'll get to the we portion of this show in a second. But before we begin, go ahead and subscribe to the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel and go through the plethora of podcasts that we have in the field of TV and movies, sports, and sports entertainment. We have live podcasts, solo podcasts on your favorite sports like Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NFL, the NHL. We got wrestling, all the sports that you desire. We have here. We're going to be talking about them. We talk about your favorite TV shows on your streaming services here on Boom Broadcasting. Give us a like, join the conversation, see us on the socials. Make sure that you're following along. We got a lot going on here in 2026. We're getting ready to get into the spring. More to come here on Boom Broadcasting. Make sure that you don't miss it. Now, of course, for those who've been watching Quick Hits, which is my podcast here, dropping on your Friday. Right now, the buffer in between your weekend. Here on Quick Hits, you know this is a one-man show. Usually it's me in front of my camera talking about sports, all types of sports. But with all that's been going on with the NFL, the free agency, I can't do this by myself. I know my limitations. So I'm bringing in some help. And now, guys that are going to be helping me right now. I was on this podcast on Wednesday. My man's covering the NBA. Got a basketball guy in here. Three from deep, 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, talking about the NBA. We're getting ready for the playoffs. Playoffs is coming. This is the best part of the NBA season right now because the rubber meets the road with these teams that are contenders and pretenders. But he doesn't just do the NBA. During the fall, he asked you the question, do you have what it takes to become a sideline savant? Jason Calenzo, how you doing there, NY?
Fantastic, man. How you doing, Sean?
Oh,
Pleasure to be here, man. Talking some off-season football. This is pretty exciting.
yeah, great. Now, to the other side of me, I had to bring in a football guy. You know, we got a basketball guy in here. You got a guy that covers a lot of sports and myself. But I had to bring a football guy. And he's not just a football guy when it comes to the NFL. He does college football. He's a big college football guy. Locked in on the NFL. You know, the Gridiron Address in that part of the Sunday between your afternoon game and your Sunday night games. You'll catch this guy talking the NFL, talking college football as well too. Y'all, he might even be getting in on the draft. We don't know, but I'm pretty sure that he will be. Aaron Schneider in the building. Aaron, how are you, man?
Well, Shannon, I am doing good. And real quick, definitely getting in on the draft. Got some stuff in the works. Nothing is fully set yet, but if you paid attention to Boom last year, did a massive draft watch along. The plan is to do that again. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a bunch of people in again as well. Shannon, hopefully you, Jason, love to have you on as well.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
your Giants are up there picking pretty high, so
Yep.
got to get you on there. But yeah, Shannon, I'm always happy to come on and glad we could record when I have some free time.
Ha ha! I like it. Hey, so am I. Look, hopefully I get in on that draft watch party there. I definitely want to be a part of that. I wasn't a part of it last year. I had to work at that time, but I was able to get in some comments. Glad about that. But with that being said, since we got my panel here and myself, we got to go ahead and dive into what we have been seeing, y'all. It has been insane from Monday morning. We've had a lot of crazy stuff go on. Guys moving, guys staying put, guys getting traded. We had one that almost went somewhere, but he went on back. and we're going to get to that very soon. So let's go ahead and start with a little bit of breaking news. Is kind of breaking as it hit us on Thursday. Kyler Murray was released by the Arizona Cardinals. Being a San Francisco 49er fan, that made me kind of chuckle a little bit. Kyler Murray's had a little bit of trouble in Arizona, trying to get the Arizona Cardinals back on the winning ways of yesteryear, the times that they went to the Super Bowl, times that they've played some very competitive football. Kyler Murray was looked at to be the guy. Unfortunately, Arizona said no. But that didn't last long as the Minnesota Vikings pick him up on a 1-year deal. Now, we all know that J.J. McCarthy, the young blood, is in there. He had a pretty good season this year. But, up and down, definitely, after Sam Darnold went to Seattle. J.J. McCarthy coming in playing some good football. But they're thinking that maybe, just maybe, he might have a little bit of competition at the quarterback position. So we got to talk about that. Minnesota picking them up. So, Aaron, I'm going to go ahead and throw this to you. Jason and I, we talked a lot at NBA, so I'm going to get Jason on this a second. Is this move a good move for Kyler Murray going to Minnesota?
I mean, it definitely is. It was time for him to go in Arizona. It wasn't working out there, and he needed a change of scenery. And, I mean, Minnesota needs another quarterback. McCarthy clearly was not ready to start last year. 11 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 35.6 QBR. Those are rough numbers. I still think he could be a solid player, but you got to get a vet in there. I doubt McCarthy's going to be starting next season. I think this is a good move for Murray and for Minnesota.
I can understand that also. So, Jason, same question to you. Did you think that Kyler Murray would have fit somewhere else, or was the Minnesota move the right move?
I'm going to say no. I really actually liked him better in Pittsburgh. I think the offense is geared a little more towards him. A few better weapons, even though that he has Justin Jefferson there. This hurts J.J. McCarthy. I mean, it's one thing to bring a guy in for competition. It's another to bring a guy in to take your roster spot. And I think they brought Kyler Murray in to take his roster spot. So, I mean, you have a lot invested in J.J. McCarthy right now. But I thought he would have been a better fit in Pittsburgh because I think he could have really been a full-time player. For me, this is weird for the Vikings. If you were going to do this anyways, why really didn't you keep Sam Darnold last year? I mean, he just went to the Super Bowl and literally won the Super Bowl. You could have signed him to a long-term deal and not had him leave Minnesota. So it's just a very curious move by the Vikings. But I don't like it. I think he could have prospered somewhere else, and I would have liked him in Pittsburgh.
I think, sorry to jump in here, Shannon, but
no, go ahead.
I think why they did this is because they weren't expecting McCarthy to be that bad. And so they were okay with letting Sam Darnold walk. They didn't think this past season was going to go how it did. Everybody thought Justin Jefferson was quarterback proof. That was clearly false. And so they had to panic, and this quarterback class isn't the strongest. I don't think Minnesota is going to be getting anybody who's going to do any better than McCarthy would. So you have to bring in a veteran, and for how it ended in Arizona for Kyler Murray, he's still probably the best vet free agent that you're going to be able to get. And so, I think this was Minnesota in panic mode, realizing that they messed up letting Darnold walk. And so they had to try to cover themselves somehow. And this is what they ended up with. It's not a great situation, but
you only gave J.J. McCarthy 1 year. He was essentially a rookie, got hurt. So, I mean, last year was technically his rookie year. I don't know if they want him to be Drake May, then all of a sudden he was just going to throw him in there. He's got some wide receivers. He's going to just be this great quarterback. There's no such thing as growing pains anymore in the NFL. I recall Troy Aikman not winning a football game his rookie year. I remember, I think Peyton Manning won one football game his rookie year. So in the NFL now, you have one bad year. Technically, your rookie year, it's a failed experiment. You stink, and we got to bring somebody else in. I mean, I know the NFL stands for not for long, but that was quick on the panic button there in Minnesota.
And it definitely was. And I'm not one saying that McCarthy's going to be bad. I think like this is something we've talked about in other shows before. I believe I've talked about this with both of you. A lot of NFL teams will rush quarterbacks into starting before they're really ready. I'm a firm believer in it takes a really unique quarterback to be able to start and have success. And like, I feel like to bring in the Panthers a little bit, Bryce Young felt like a prime example. Like behind that offensive line, he was never going to do well his rookie year. It was always going to be a rough year one for Bryce Young in Carolina. A little bit better of a situation for McCarthy in Minnesota, but I think the philosophy still holds true. It takes a unique player to be able to be successful year one, so we do have to be patient, and maybe teams shouldn't be rushing guys into starting as quickly as they are, giving them a year or two to actually sit, learn, and develop behind a good veteran before they're forced to go out there and run the offense.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. Now, when you brought up Sam Darnold, if there's anybody who can tell you about mismanagement, no development being thrown out there, it is
Right.
Sam Darnold all day long with the experiment in New York, in Carolina. He was thrown around, went to San Francisco for a little bit, didn't play bad in San Francisco. He was just a backup guy, goes to Minnesota, has a year. I believe that there were people out there that thought that maybe Sam Darnold might have benefited off of a Justin Jefferson and a very high powered offense. There may have been people who thought that the verdict wasn't out. But then he goes to Seattle, which, as you can see, was a lightning offense with how well they did with Jason Smith and Jigba, who came on after the departure of DK Metcalf. And then, you have a very good offense. You got an older Cooper Kupp. You had a Kenneth Walker III who was in the backfield. A very high-powered offense. Smith and Jigba becoming Offensive Player of the Year. Sam Darnold being looked at in MVP conversations. Then he wins the Super Bowl. Minnesota might have been looking at that and saying, y'all, what did we do? What were we thinking by doing this? I'm with Jason on this part here where, the panic button might have been pushed way too early. JJ McCarthy getting 1 year, not really much to develop on. But I also got to look at Aaron's side of it. These NFL teams look at a Drake May or a Jaden Daniels the year before and see how they adapt to the league. And they're looking at their quarterbacks wondering, why are you not adapting? JJ McCarthy came off an injury. It's very hard to come off of an injury and have a year like that. You got players that are 1 in a million that can do that, but not every player can do that. So with Kyler Murray coming over to Minnesota, it is going to be interesting in that quarterback room. These two guys will be looking at each other during training camp. So we go in from there to some very odd news that we got this week. See, we thought that Maxx Crosby was on the move. We thought Maxx Crosby was going to Baltimore. Crazy move it was. Their defensive-minded coach pulling off something well. We thought that Maxx Crosby was safe from the Raiders. We thought he was going to go to a squad that could win something. Then, jerked away as Baltimore backs out of the trade. Says medical considerations for backing out of the trade. But Baltimore looked like they had a plan B as they go, and this is crazy to me. Get my man Hendrickson, get my man from Cincinnati, find a way to get him. Got him within the division as well, too, within the division. Got him on the team. Trey Hendrickson is a Baltimore Raven. Maxx Crosby staying put in Las Vegas. I want to say Oakland so bad. I'm age. I'm sorry about that, y'all. Las Vegas, got to say it. I don't want Cody coming at me. Cody Johnson, one of our good friends, can't have him going at me like that. That's his squad. But remember, Bang Bang Hunter gang. But I'm going to leave that alone. Now, with that being said, looking at this move, we were on the emotional roller coaster. We were here, then we're down here, and now we're back up here again with this move. I got to ask about our friend Maxx Crosby. And Jason, I'll throw this one to you. With the fact that the Raiders were willing to deal Maxx Crosby, is there a possibility that they might try to deal him later in the season? Or will they deal him again? Will they try to deal him again?
Well, he's definitely going to be dealt again. I think the biggest thing is going to be, will they get a similar offer? I mean, they got a solid offer. They got, 2 first-round picks. That was a solid deal. But, they ended up really coming out of this thing pretty good because, they get Maxx Crosby back. Yes, he's owed $30 million this year, but they're still far enough under the salary cap that they can still keep all the players they just signed and keep him. So I would suspect, especially with the players that they did sign in free agency, keep Maxx Crosby. He's happy to be a Raider. He is he is insane on that defense. He is the heart and soul of the Raiders defense. So you get to keep that. You play him for this coming up year. If he does great and he starts producing and this team really progresses and goes kind of from worst to first, I think he stays a Raider. If this team goes through a lot of growing pains and doesn't do well, I think probably mid to late season, he might get dealt before the trade deadline, but I think you'll definitely see him gone next year because he's owed more money next year. This year it's only 30. I think next year it's 35 and some change. Mm-hmm. This was definitely a odd situation. I think people are making it out to be more than it is because we've seen these kind of trades fall apart before, especially when it comes to medical issues. I just think people are trying to read into it more like, the Raider, like Baltimore got cold feet or something like that. Cause I don't know. It was definitely odd, but the Ravens came out of this thing smelling good. I mean, you get Hendrickson, you don't give away your picks. So you get Hendrickson, you got your first round pick still in this year. You still have your first round pick for next year. So, the Ravens are sitting pretty. Raiders, yeah, you're a little snake bit a little bit. But, you still came out on top. You won free agency. You signed a heck of a lot of players and some really good ones. And now you essentially get your top defensive player back. So odd situation, but I think both teams kind of made out in it. The only thing that causes me pause is I think a lot of people dealing with the Ravens when it comes to trades moving forward. I think they're going to be a little more leery on calling that GM since he feels so gutted about this trade. I think this is going to end up biting him down the road here when making deals with other teams.
Ooh, well, I mean, that part is very important because, I mean, you have to come with it when it comes down to going with the Ravens. And, there are some guys that might think that they might be doing some shicey stuff underneath. So possibly. So, Aaron, same question, man, is you believe in Maxx Crosby when he says, I'm a Raider, or do you think that the Raiders are going to say, Maxx Crosby, you got to go and we're going to get some guys for you?
I mean, I think they're going to shop him, but like a failed physical is going to seriously hurt like any trade value they're going to get. Like 2 firsts, that's a good deal. That's a really good deal.
You ain't getting that again.
They're going to be lucky to get 1 now. And I looked it up. His cap hit decreases every year of his contract, and he's a really good player. And if he stays healthy the first half of this year, I'm inclined to believe that they just ride it out. And it looks like after next year, say he gets hurt, say he's not healthy, they have an out, they can cut him and not lose as much money. And right now I'm inclined to say they're going to keep him because they're just not going to be able to get the value in return that they'd want for him because of the failed physical in Baltimore.
Yeah, that does put a damper on any deal that any team would want to make concerning Maxx Crosby. But before I get into this last question, before we depart from this, The Bengals, mismanagement on their part, pure mismanagement. Not only do they let Trey Hendrickson walk for nothing, he walks to the division and you see this guy twice. See him twice. Now, I know they paid the money. They threw the money to T. Higgins. They threw the money to Joe Burrow. They threw the money to Jamar Chase. And that was like the only three guys that they paid. And Joe going to be running for his life behind that offensive line. And not only is he going to be running for his life, he's going to be running for his life against a guy he used to play against. So this is going to be interesting for them. But last question before we go on to the next. Aaron, I'll go to you on this one. Maxx Crosby or Trey Hendrickson, who will have the biggest impact on their team this year?
Ooh, man. I'm inclined to say Maxx Crosby. I think he's going to be feeling some type of way going into this season. He's going to be playing hard. If he stays healthy, I think he's going to put up potentially a career year, because there's no way he's not going to be playing angry all 17 games. And I think an angry Maxx Crosby is a very, very dangerous football player.
I hear that. So, Jason, let's say you, who's going to have the biggest impact?
Man, that is a tough question. Or again, a lot of it does have to do with being healthy with either one of these guys. But I'm going to say Trey. That Baltimore Ravens defense was the worst defense Baltimore has ever seen. So it can only go up from here. So now you're getting, a Pro Bowl guy. You're getting, he's a 9-year vet. He's got a few miles on him, but 81 career sacks. So now you actually get somebody that the other team may actually be afraid of. No one was afraid of that Baltimore defense because they knew, T. Sizzle, and they knew Ray Lewis and all those guys were in the stands. They didn't have anybody that they had to fear. So now they got someone that they have to fear a little bit too. So I'm going Baltimore. That defense got a little bit better. So let's go Trey.
Yeah, you're right about that, because that Ravens team was predicated on defense and running the football for years.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a lot of great players on that defensive side of the ball, as well as the offensive side of the ball, but mostly defensive side of the ball. So we will see how this season goes for Maxx Crosby and for Trey Hendrickson, who is in a new place. No longer in Cincinnati. He's in Baltimore. And speaking of injuries, no, this is not a time for me to jump on and make fun of anyone. But if there is a player that has been attached to injuries in the NFL, it has to be Tua Tagovailoa, who was let go of by the Miami Dolphins. A big-time cap hit. But Miami said, we don't care. Get out. Over 90 mil. If I'm not mistaken, over 90 mil was the cap hit. Miami didn't care. They said, nope, we got to be rid of this guy. And Tua Tagovailoa finds a new home. He's going to Atlanta to play with the Falcons. But there's only one problem. Michael Penix Jr. is there in Atlanta. Atlanta drafted Michael Penix Jr. We all wondered why. After paying Kirk Cousins a bag, they drafted Michael Penix Jr. onto their team, and then turn around and get Tua Tagovailoa, who has been tagged to injury, who's been tagged to maybe he's not the player that many thought that he was coming out of Alabama years ago. So we're here in Atlanta in another quarterback room with a quarterback controversy. Maybe another veteran quarterback going with a younger quarterback, an upstart guy. Atlanta has really made me scratch my head when it's come down to the quarterback room in the past 3 years. I don't understand what is going on with Atlanta and their love of quarterbacks that they don't know what to do with. Not only do they have a running back who they have no idea what to do with in the backfield, they're going to go and do this with their quarterbacks now. We don't know what they're doing. We have no idea what is going on in Atlanta right now. I know Aaron Schneider is laughing right now as a Carolina Panthers fan. Yes. And I'll go ahead and throw it to Aaron First time around, since you got to see this team twice a year. You got to see Atlanta twice a year, and you still owe Atlanta. We're getting you in the playoffs and getting you the NFC South Championship. You owe Atlanta. Atlanta's helping you out right now at the quarterback position right now. Since you got to see these two guys, more than likely, got a choice. Tua Tagovailoa, Michael Penix Jr. Who is going to be the starter for this team this coming year, Aaron?
I'm still kind of a Michael Penix Jr. believer. Yeah, last year wasn't that great, but I mean, come on. Tua's really just there to be some competition, put some pressure on the young guy. I still think Penix is going to be the starter. I don't know if Tua's ever going to be a full-time starter again. He's going to need a serious change of scenery. I don't know if that's going to be Atlanta for him. I think there might be a bit of a quarterback battle, so to speak, in the offseason, but I'm expecting Michael Penix Jr. to be the starter. Although if he does play bad, he's going to have Tua right there, and I don't think they're going to play that much differently, honestly.
I understand.
Push comes to shove, but you got a relatively young guy in Penix Jr. I think it's going to be more valuable if they give him reps, try and develop him, as opposed to banking on Tua being pre-concussion Tua again.
Definitely. I mean, battle of the left-handed quarterbacks, as both these guys are left-handed guys. And now, Jason, Tua redemption story or Michael Penix Jr. upstart could be franchise quarterback. Who is your guy if you are Atlanta in the beginning of the season?
Yeah, and we talked about Minnesota earlier. They don't know what they're doing at the QB room. Atlanta's right. I think these guys go to the same school because neither one of these teams know what the heck to do with a quarterback. Look, when Tua's upright and coherent, he's 44-32. He's got a 96% passer rating. He's got 120 touchdowns for his career, only 59 interceptions. So he's a serviceable quarterback. The biggest problem is keeping him upright and keeping him healthy. Now, the one thing that will help Tua out is you have Bijan Robinson, who is an absolute stud at running back, but you made fun of it earlier, which we make fun of it all the time. Atlanta has no idea what they're doing when it comes to utilizing Bijan Robinson. He's an amazing weapon. You have Drake London there. So, I mean, Atlanta has weapons, but they just don't know how to use them. But this is going to be interesting to see what happens. Again, pumping the brakes on Penix. His first full season, again, we just talked about developing a rookie, having a rough season, come back. What do you do? I don't know if Tua is that kind of mentor kind of person. Like, that's the other thing that I have questions about with Minnesota and JJ. Is Kyler Murray really the best mentor for a young guy? Is Tua going to be the best mentor for Michael Penix Jr.? I don't know, but I think Tua gives them the best chance to win now. When he's upright and he's got weapons, he's pretty good. He's won some games for the Miami Dolphins. So I like him starting the season. I just don't know how long he's going to last. And look, I hope, all kidding aside, I hope he's okay. But I don't know how many more times you can get in a hit in the head and not have concerns about his long-term health. And people keep telling him, like, dude, you should step away. So Atlanta, you better hope that offensive line is really, really good and protect Tua, because if not, you better hope Penix is ready. So this is going to be interesting to see, because you have a team in Atlanta that really is just throwing all kinds of stuff at the wall to see what sticks. I mean, they've been doing that for the last 3-4 years now when it comes to drafting Penix, when it comes to giving Kirk Cousins all kind of money. I'm surprised they didn't bring Aaron Rodgers in, and just try to throw. I mean, it's just, these teams, sometimes they just panic so much. They try to do something so fast just to make something happen. So this will be interesting, but I think Tua does give them the best win now option there in Atlanta.
I believe so on that one. Now, since we segued between what's going on with Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy and now Tua and Penix Jr., want to pose this to you guys before we get off of it. These teams, we talked about the panic button. They're hitting the panic button, all of this stuff here. They're doing this. Well, actually, I think I may have two. With Michael Penix Jr. getting Tua on the team now, with Tua, we talked about mentorship and mentorship and mentorship with these quarterbacks that are coming in because, of course, these guys were drafted young, and now they're looking at these guys here. They didn't have the year that they thought they would, and now they're bringing in a guy and forcing him to be a mentor. Is forcing Kyler Murray or Tua Tagovailoa to be mentors, is that detrimental to their careers, Jason? What you think?
I don't want to say it's detrimental to their careers, but if they were smart, now that they're becoming journeymen, they need to develop that mentorship because that's going to give them some longevity in the NFL. You look at Fitzmagic, who made a career out of being a backup quarterback, and he was a heck of a mentor. And look how long his career lasted. So I think for Tua and Kyler Murray, now that you're older, now that you're now in a different team and you're probably going to be bouncing around a little bit because you got a 1 year here, 1 year there, you need to go in there and not only play well, but you need to develop that kind of locker room presence where a team wants you in the locker room because you can develop somebody, you can pass on what you've learned in the NFL, how to handle yourself, how to handle dealing with injuries, how to deal with this kind of stuff. So if these guys were smart, I think they would really look at their careers right now and the trajectory and go, okay, I want to play. I'm going to play and train to be a starter, but at the same time, I'm going to develop my coaching skills because I want to make sure that I have a job next year. I want to make sure that teams want me next year. So I don't think they're being forced, but it would be stupid to not start thinking about that at this point in their careers.
Oh man, good point. Good point. Now, Aaron, the other question that I had, well, I was hearing you guys talk with these young quarterbacks, who basically have been given the franchise. Of course, Michael Penix Jr. was thrown in there when the Coach Chains experiment wasn't as fun anymore. So Penix Jr., they were all waiting for Penix Jr. They were all waiting for him to come in. And now JJ McCarthy, after Sam Darnold ended up leaving for Seattle, he's been given the keys to the building. We can go on and on with that. Jason, you being a New York Giants guy, Jackson Dart, they were waiting for him. They're waiting for Jackson Dart. They're waiting for these young quarterbacks to assume. And then when they assume, they have a little bit of trouble. You know about this as well too, being, having Bryce Young with Carolina. These young quarterbacks that are given the keys and then later on it seems like they are having someone being put in their place because they're not ready yet. What does that tell you about some of these franchises here when they just give it to the young guy and then later on they're like, give it back? What does that tell you about some of these franchises here? What can you sum up with that?
It's them not willing to, suck for a few years and let a young guy go through the growing pains, like Jason mentioned, that a Peyton Manning and a Troy Aikman went through early in their careers. Teams want to win now. If you're not winning them games right now, they're moving on to the next guy. Nobody's really patient anymore. And yeah, I think the constant changing cycle of starting quarterbacks for some of these teams is indicative of the lack of patience for a lot of NFL front offices.
Definitely.
And I want to throw something in here. This is the face of the NFL right now, is because these guys, these GMs, these coaches, they're coaching and picking these guys for their jobs. It used to be you had some job stability So you can go through a couple of years of growing pains and go through a couple of years in a draft process or a free agency process and not have to worry about, breathing down your neck. I'm going to lose my job. So I think that's a huge problem. The turnover in the NFL when it comes to the GM position, when it comes to the head coaching position, is really what the problem is. These guys are doing whatever they're told. Like these young quarterbacks, they come in, they're thrown the keys to the Ferrari, and no one's teaching them how to drive it. That's not their fault. It's who's handing them the keys. They want somebody that's going to save their job. They don't want somebody that's going to succeed. They're not doing the growing pains thing to make them better players. They want to make sure that they have a contract for next year.
Good thoughts on that, fellas. Good thoughts, both of you. Thank you very much for that. And we will go ahead and get off the top stories, and we're going to talk about some notable signings here because we had a lot of guys move. We had a lot of guys stay put, and we had some guys that got traded. So let's throw this one over here to Aaron first. Which of these acquisitions was the most significant to you?
To me, I'm going to say Linderbaum to the Raiders. You are securing the offensive line for, let's be real. Fernando Mendoza is going number 1 overall. We know that's happening. And I love this because it shows that the Raiders have the right philosophy. You got to fix that offensive line so your young quarterback coming in has a strong line in front of him. Carolina didn't do it for Bryce Young. We saw how that panned out. I'm sounding like a broken record, but if you're drafting a young guy and expecting him to start day one, like the Raiders are going to be expecting with Mendoza, you got to have a good offensive line behind him. And this shows that Clint Kubiak has the right mentality surrounding that. Yes, they had to reset the market to sign Linderbaum, but that's not a bad thing. He deserves that type of money. And yeah, I think that is by and far the most significant free agency acquisition of this offseason.
Oh, I like that. That big offensive line is going to be vital for the Raiders because think about it, though. If I'm not mistaken, Brock Bowers is still on a rookie contract, is he?
Yep.
He's still on a rookie contract.
Yep.
Ashton Genty is on a rookie contract, and Fernando Mendoza will be on a rookie contract as a quarterback. So if you're able to build a young upstart squad like that is going to be interesting. That is going to be fun. If the Raiders don't drop the ball, like we know how the Raiders like to do, if they don't drop the ball, they might have a scary squad coming up here, and it starts with the offensive line. I like that one there, Aaron. So, Jason, what say you? Biggest acquisition to you?
I actually had 3 of them, and Tyler was on my list.
Okay.
I was really absolutely upset about that one because I really was hoping he'd go to Harbaugh and be on the New York Football Giants.
Yes.
I mean, that broke my heart when I saw him go. But Raiders, exactly for what you said, Aaron, they're drafting Mendoza first. What do? You got to protect your future. So awesome. I had 2 quick ones. First one, Kenneth Walker III going to Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes has been dying for a run game, and this gives them some stability. As long as he can stay healthy, you're going to get a Super Bowl winning running back finally, because Pacheco and Hunt and Steele and all these other guys that they've been churning through, they have their run game has been abysmal. So huge pickup for the Kansas City Chiefs to try to retool and get back to that winning way. And I'm going to give you a shout out, Shannon. The Mike Evans to the 49ers, to me, I think it's probably one of the most important pickups this season for that 49ers team. Now, knock on wood, they need to get a witch doctor, whatever they need to do to keep him healthy, being in that 49ers uniform with all those injuries. I'm really worried about his safety and security there, in Niner land. But, dude, Brock Purdy has been looking for a stud wide receiver like this. I know Juwan Jennings, the Brandon Ayuk failure was, terrible. They got rid of Deebo Samuel. You just picked up a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He's had 11 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. He's got over 13,000 receiving yards. And you're going to put him with Brock Purdy and CMC. Woo! 49ers, bang, bang, Niner gang. Huge, huge pickup.
I was hoping one of y'all was gonna say that. I was hoping,
and I'm not just saying that because you're the host, and I'm like, I'm not like, I'm not ingratiating myself to you, but it is true. That is, he could go somewhere and make an instant impact. That was the team.
Absolutely. I saw that signing and I was like, thank you, because that's exactly what San Francisco needed. Pressure off of George Kittle, a vertical passing game, which is what did it. Because the thing about it was with that offense, with my 49ers, is that they were passing the ball a lot out of the backfield, which is not a bad thing. The West Coast offense, I know, but vertical passing games are the thing for the NFL. We all know this. The vertical passing game is going to be big. Look at what Carolina's doing with Tedoroy McMillan. Look at what you guys have got with Malik Neighbors in New York. You got to have that big play receiver. Mike Evans, he may be a little older. He may have some injury troubles, but when the man is on the field, you ask Baker Mayfield what that man is capable of. You ask him what he's capable of. You ask Johnny Manziel when he is not under the influence what he can do for any team out there, how good of a player that he was in college, how good of a player he was in the pros. When he went to San Francisco, when I saw that, I was like, yes.
Trust in your wide receiver is huge. So for Brock Purdy to be able to close his eyes and throw the ball up, you also talk about development. What do you think this is going to do for Pearsall? This is going to open the field up because now you got to be careful of the deep ball. You don't have to put 8 in a box to just guard and wait for CMC to come by you. That takes a lot of pressure off of CMC, who, you rode the shit out of him, last year because he was your whole offense. So, man, I, again, jealous as a Giants fan because I was hoping to put him with Malik Neighbors. That would have been awesome, but he goes to Fort. The Giants in free agency this year killed me.
Insane, though. I will say, though, I like the Kenneth Walker III acquisition for Kansas City. Kansas City needed the running game. Kenneth Walker III, I think, is going to open it up, especially with the way Eric Bieniemy coaches that offense. He can make the running game work for Kansas City. They're going to need that, especially with a change of pace with Patrick Mahomes. He can get down the field. Patrick Mahomes is still the man, but they need that running game, and that's exactly what was eluding them this year. I love what you did to shout out with the offensive line acquisition for the Raiders. Aaron, I like that. But y'all ain't gonna give love to my cousin Geno Smith going back to the Jets. Y'all ain't gonna give him no love. I'm kidding. That's a joke. That's a joke. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there. It was
history
great,
dooming to repeat itself. The Jets, man. The Jets keep jetting. I mean, you can. The Jets keep jetting. Oh my God.
No one else is gonna take him, Shannon.
No.
You must have. I know there's a lot of good restaurants in New York to go back to and hang out there. But
I saw that. I was like, oh man, he's really gonna go. And Geno has done well away from New York as well. He's done well. The Raiders season. I get that. I mean, I understand it. But yes, that was a joke for me. But you had a lot of big moves out there. The Buffalo Bills getting DJ Moore off of the trade and getting Bradley Chubb. Romeo Doubs going to the Patriots. The Steelers getting Michael Pittman Jr. off of a trade and then signing Rico Dowdle. Sorry about that, Aaron. And the Colts re-signing Daniel Jones, getting Alec Pierce, and then the trade for Solomon Thomas as well, too. The Chiefs, Kenneth Walker III, Kelsey coming back for year 14. Lions getting Isaiah Pacheco as well, too, to add to the running back tandem. The Panthers, Devin Lloyd, shout out to the Panthers, Devin Lloyd and Jalen Phillips, big acquisitions on the defense for the Panthers. Travis Etienne going to the Saints. My 49ers, Osa, getting them from the Cowboys. I love that move there for the defense as well, too. I like that. Tyler Linderbaum going to the Raiders, of course. And, we had the releases of Kyler Murray and, Kirk Cousins is still out there. But I don't know, man. Kirk Cousins got his money. I think he should take the bag and run if you want to be real with it. I think he should. But who knows? Maybe somebody might be out there shopping for Kirk coat chains. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But with that being said, as we look through all the moves, last question for the notable signings. We'll go to you on this one, Jason. Which team is going to benefit the most from free agency in this coming year?
That's going to be tough. There was a lot of good moves. I really think it's going to be Oakland. I think Oakland, won free agency. They've got the number 1 draft pick. They got a stud running back. They have an all-world tight end. They just got their defense, just got a boost again. So, I'm going to say the Raiders in the NFL, it is not hard to go from worst to first. And I think the Raiders have the best chance, even in that tough division. I think they have the best chance to go from worst to first right now. I gotta go Raiders. I think they've won the offseason so far. It'd be interesting to see what they do in the draft and a few other pieces moving forward, but I gotta give it to them.
All right. Yeah, good move there. Aaron, what say you, my man? Which team is going to benefit the most from free agency?
Look, number 1 for me was also the Raiders. Like, we talked about Linderbaum enough. They also brought in Kwity Paye, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Naylor. Those are all phenomenal additions as well. They didn't just address the offense. They also addressed defense heavily as well, which was huge. Another team that I really liked what they did was the Washington Commanders. Brought in Odafe Owe, 4-year, $100 million contract. That's a great signing. Got Chigakonkwo in as well. Getting Jaden Daniels, another weapon that he really needs. Leo Chanel, Tim Settle.
Rashad
I really
White.
like what Washington's done as well, too.
They got White running back, so then they added to the running back, too.
Yeah, definitely. So good. And also, too, I had another question here, my bad, on the notable signings. Which team were you the most disappointed in when it came down to free agency, Aaron?
Honestly, it's the Cardinals. They haven't even they're just a bit of a mess right now. Like, they've got some great weapons. Trey McBride is phenomenal. Marvin Harrison Jr., I still think he's going to be really, really good. But their offensive line was rough. Their defensive line was rough. They brought in Tyler Algier, solid running back. That's not a bad signing, but for a team that's as bad as Arizona is, that's not really marquee. They also brought in Isaac Suomalo. They need offensive line help. They got him. Cool, great. That's not enough. They have the 10th most cap space remaining in the NFL. They haven't really done much with it. And for a team that has the amount of needs that Arizona does, to have Suomalo and Algier as your 2 marquee signings right now is a really bad spot to be in. Those are 2 good players. I don't want to trash them. They're good. That's just not enough for what Arizona needs.
Oh, you ain't got no faith in Gardner Minshew at the quarterback position?
They're rolling with Jacoby Brissett as QB1, I'm pretty sure, and he's solid. But
definitely,
come on, they're going to be picking top 5 again. They're looking at an Arch Manning, a Lenore Sellers in 2027. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jason, same question to you. Which team are you most disappointed in free agency this year?
I know we're going to talk about my team later, but I'm going with the New York Giants right now. I was really disappointed in what they did. I like Tremaine Edmonds. You picked up a punter with Jordan Stout. Isaiah Likely, again, another tight end. They just signed Calvin Austin III as a wide receiver. I think that was a little bit weak. I was expecting a little more. Again, I'm bitter because we didn't sign Lindenbaum. I'm bitter because we didn't sign Mike Evans. So we didn't have. I was expecting the Harbaugh experience to really bring some people in, and I was expecting some notable signings, and we just didn't get the big bopper that I was thinking we were going to get. You got Scatterboo coming off an injury.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little worried about the running back position. I know Tyrone Tracy is there, but a little suspect. And then, that wide receiver room. You got Neighbors coming off an injury, and then that's about it. You just lost Wan'Dale Robinson to the Titans. So I mean Slayton, but who else you got? So Calvin Austin the third now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was really really disappointed in my Giants. I would have thought the Harbaugh effect would have had more oomph with free agency. I would have liked to have seen some more people come their way, but that's my big one. Sorry.
Oh man, I can see that as well too. A big time coach coming to your team, you would think that he would attract more people, more
Nothing.
players. Understandable. So since Jason shouted out his team, we can go ahead and move into a segment that I enjoy on my podcast here. Your golf clap, round of applause, standing ovation. That is where we reward the good, the great, and the exceptional plays of teams, players that I usually do on my podcast. But I'm going to do this a little differently with my panel here. See, all three of us, we have our favorite teams, of course. Me, San Francisco, Bang Bang Niner Gang. You've got the New York Football Giants represented by Jason Calenzo. And we got the Carolina Panthers, the home squad as well to me. That's the home squad also, since I'm in Western North Carolina. Aaron Schneider is the Carolina Panther fan here. So we're going to take our teams and we are going to grade them on the scale of golf clap, which is, which was good, maybe. Round of applause, meaning great, and standing ovation, meaning exceptional. Being exceptional. I'm going to go ahead and go last since I am the host. I'll go last. So I'm going to go ahead since Jason went ahead and nuanced his team. I'm going to go ahead and yield to Jason. So, Jason, your New York Giants, golf clap, round of applause, or standing ovation?
To get the golf clap. They did okay. They filled a couple little spots, but again, just fell a little short. They didn't have this sexy signing. They didn't have the big wow factor. So a lot still remains to be seen. There's some other free agents that are still floating around out there. There's a Tyreek Hill, if we need to add to the wide receiver room. So, but yeah, I was just hoping for more. It was just New Yorkers. You got to go big or go home. So it just wasn't big enough. Isaiah Likely, we got Theo Johnson. We just need another tight end.
Isaiah Likely is a lot better than Theo Johnson. That is
True.
a significant upgrade.
He's
Granted, it's not like a
good.
big signing, but that is still a massive upgrade at tight end.
He couldn't outplay old ass Andrews. So how good is he? He ain't that good.
Oh man,
Andrews done whooped him out. And anyway, golf clap.
Baltimore ran a weird offense, though. I think Likely is going to thrive. Honestly, I think he's going to be really good for y'all.
I hope so, but he better block too. I want to see some blocking because we need to get Skadaboo down the lane there. But anyway, yeah,
football. Definitely.
I gotta ride my team. But I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I got a lot of questions.
I understand, man. So the New York Giants go with the golf clap here, and the golf clap for them. And now Aaron, I gotta say, Aaron, you've been through a lot as a Carolina Panther fan. I get it. Here in Western North Carolina, I understand. My dad, big Panther fan. My sister, my niece, big Panther fans. For the tribulation that the Panthers went through, gotta give it to Dan Morgan. He's spending money out there. He's doing what he's saying he's doing. But for Aaron Schneider, those Carolina Panthers, what did they? Golf clap, round of applause, standing ovation.
I'm gonna give them a solid standing ovation. I only have the slightest little qualm with it. They did give Jalen Phillips a lot of money. That got asked to pan out. If we do this again a year from now and Phillips isn't panning out, it's a boo. But Devin Lloyd, that is a phenomenal signing. I love that. I think it's $15 million a year for Devin Lloyd. I really like that a lot. I think that is good value for the kind of player that he is. Carolina desperately needed linebacker help. They desperately needed edge rusher help. We know Ejiro Vera likes to run his 3-4, and Jalen Phillips is a perfect 3-4 outside linebacker. I think he's going to slot into Vera's system really, really well. And I do think we're going to see a good season out of him, and that's why I'm giving them a standing ovation.
Oh, man, I got to say, I was very impressed with the Carolina Panthers, seeing the fact that Carolina did not spend money for the longest time. It seemed like they were just holding on to it, sitting on it, burying it in the backyard, not doing the thing with it. It was collecting dust. And Dan Morgan came in there and decided, hey, we're going to build us a squad. And no one believed that Dave Tepper was going to take a backseat to his GM. No one believed it. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. And I covered the Panthers with Tobacco Sports Radio's YouTube channel. I'm like, okay, I believe it when I see it. But he did. And we see Dan Morgan doing things. He did things the year before. He's doing things now. So I got to agree. That is a standing ovation for the Panthers. And last but not least, San Francisco, bang, bang, Niner gang. Now, the Mike Evans signing was huge. I was big on that. I was big. The trade, getting defensive help, getting Osa on that defensive tackle, getting him in that 3 technique, definitely needed, because San Francisco's defense was something that was a question mark with the team. The offense, even was questionable, but yet put points on the board. But the defense, if we got in the shootouts with teams, good luck when it comes down to the defense. But solid defensive help. Dre Greenlaw having the homecoming, coming back for a 1-year deal. That's very, very good. Getting the long snapper, John Weeks, re-signing him. Eddie Pinheiro, who was also the offensive side of the ball as well, too, getting the field goals. Robbie Gould is my guy. But Lord have mercy with the kicking that we had. But after that, go. I don't even want to say his name. I can't do it. I ain't saying his name. No. But Eddie Pinheiro, thank you so much for what you've done, getting Darian Lowe on the offensive tackle. I will give my team a round of applause. I got to give them a round of applause for that. Offensive help, vertical passing game was what we needed. Juwan Jennings, I'm pretty sure he won't be coming back. Brandon Ayuk, another story. Don't even want to talk about that guy. Get on my nerves with that. That made me sick. But adding to the pieces of CMC, adding to Brock Purdy, adding to George Kittle, get well soon. The Trent Williams stuff going on, getting him paid, that's going to be something that we'll have to talk about later on. But in the mean between, round of applause for my San Francisco 49ers. Last segment coming up right here. Usually I do this in the beginning of the show. I used to do it in the beginning. But we're going to end it. My name's Shannon, and I'm always down for some shenanigans. So we're going to have some shenanigans here. And basically what that is I give my guys the floor. I usually give myself the floor to talk about something that I enjoy. Could be respective sport, could be something outside of sports, something going on in their lives. And once again, I will yield and go last. And I will give it to my guys. Aaron, I got to say, Aaron's was very, very interesting because he hit us up in the group chat and thought, wanted to know if this was suitable. And I said, go ahead and make it happen. So, Aaron, give me your shenanigans, my man.
Yeah, I gotta talk about App State Wrestling. They've won the last 4 postseason SoCon titles. Last 2 years, it has come down to the last match at heavyweight. Last year, true freshman Stephen Moncherie gets a takedown late, wins it. This year, it's down to the last match again. Team points are neck and neck. He steps up 2nd year in a row, dominates this year, though. Wins the SoCon title at heavyweight, 2nd year in a row. Also, 2nd year in a row, secures the team title for App State, who's also won 4 out of the last 5 regular season SoCon titles as well. So yeah, gotta shout out App State Wrestling. They are doing great things. App State's a wrestling school at this point now.
I like it. I had a really, really good friend. Shout out to my brother, Brian Sharp, who I went to high school with. He was a state champion wrestler at my old high school, good friend of mine. I have a big, tremendous respect for wrestling, for collegiate wrestling. I have a very, very, I like watching it. I watch the collegiate wrestling on TV when it comes on every chance I get. Solid athletes, great athletes. I got to give credit where credit's due. That training regimen is insane. Making the weight, insane. So, hey, I love it, Aaron. Good job. A shout out to App State in Western North Carolina and Boone. Congrats. Good job. And now, and why? I know you
Yo,
got some shenanigans, my friend. We do
I'm,
this
I'm
every single
always
time we get there.
I'm always ready for some shenanigans. I got
Let's
my
go.
man here, Drez, my sheep. We just chilling. Engine number 9. Let's go. I'm actually was thinking of my man Sean Lucas because it's also streaming season. A lot of new stuff coming out. I just finished watching Zootopia 2. So shout out to Disney Plus. Thank you very much. Great movie. I'm usually a little leery on second movies coming out with with animation. Sometimes the second movie's not as good as the first, but this one was very good. But I'm super excited. The 24th of March, Daredevil, the second season of Born Again comes out streaming. So I'm super stoked for that. So just been kind of chilling a little bit. So shout out Mr. Lucas doing It Stinks, his great TV show. So I was thinking of some streaming stuff here, but I'm stoked for what's coming out here in March. Been watching some Sherlock Holmes too. So just been doing a lot of streaming here in between watching the NBA. So me and Drez, we appreciate being on your show here, Shannon.
I love it right there. Shout out to Drez and shout out to Black Sheep as well too. Hey, I like that. I like the reference there. You can go with this or you can go with that. I love it.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. And also shout out to Sean Lucas as well too, Mr. It Stinks, Mr. Grit and Grind. See him talking high school football in the fall. In the mean in between, he's talking TV shows here on Boom Broadcasting, a little bit of wrestling on Wrestling of Destiny. Last but not least, your shenanigans for me, podcast Smitty. In February, I was supposed to attend a wrestling show in Hickory, North Carolina for Apple City Championship Wrestling. Looking forward to it. February the 14th was going to take my niece. Unfortunately, the show had to be canceled because one of their trainers, one of their wrestling trainers, unfortunately passed away with an accident that happened during training. Something that was a little bit undisclosed. Nothing really said about it here, but unfortunately, guys got to understand everybody's feelings about professional wrestling. Sean Lucas is a professional wrestling fan. Michael Davis is a professional wrestling fan. Our president here on Boom Broadcasting. Shout out to Mountain Off with Mike, my guy. He's a wrestling guy. Talks about wrestling on a daily basis. A lot of people got to understand professional wrestling can hurt. It is very, very dangerous. Please do not try it at home. What happened to this young man, unfortunately, not good at all. But one thing that Apple City Championship Wrestling and a lot of other wrestlers, people that are doing things with your independent wrestling circuits here in the state of North Carolina, which I'm such an idiot. I thought I was a wrestling fan until I started going to independent wrestling shows. Just because you watch WWE, AEW, you watch WCW, TNA, all that stuff, that does not qualify you as a wrestling fan. Go to these independent shows with these great athletes that put it on for smaller venues, may not get paid as much money, but they put in a lot of work, and those shows are absolutely fun. They are dynamite. I love it. A show is going to be put on for this young man's memory, and it's going to be happening on Saturday in Lincolnton, North Carolina. I'm going to that show. I'm going to show support to this family. I'm going to show support to this young man. Guys, if you've never been to a pro wrestling show, go to one. You may not be a pro wrestling fan, but at least go to one. Support these independent wrestlers, support these dreams, support these families, these fans. Great stuff out there. I'm looking forward to Saturday, looking forward to meeting this family and all of these great wrestlers out there. If you're in that area, if you're in that Lincolnton area, go for it. But if you see anything independent wrestling wise, go to one of those shows. You'll be glad you did. A lot of good things for the family, a lot of good things for the kids. That is all for this show here. I want to thank my guys here, Jason Calenzo, my man. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you.
On Wednesday, thank you for coming on the Mind. Aaron Schneider, man, you know we get it down, doing some football, talking football. I appreciate everything that you do. Watch these guys here on Boom Broadcasting Now. You know what? As a matter of fact, Jason, you got the floor. Go ahead and tell them about what you do, man. Go ahead.
We hitting 3 from deep 3 times a week, man. The NBA playoffs are heating up. A lot going on, so check me out Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays after 12. Okay, of course, I'm here on the Boom Broadcasting Network, and we are all on demand. So even if you don't catch it when we drop right away, you can jump on at any time and watch any of our shows at any time, and it don't cost a thing. When you say $0.99, it's $0. So,
yes, sir.
But thank you guys very much. I appreciate being on. I love hanging out with these dudes, man. Good people, and it's always a lot of fun. But yeah, guys, check me out. 3 from deep. If you got any NBA questions, hit me up.
And Aaron, go ahead and let them know.
Gridiron Address will be back. We're going to be playing some catch up with some NFL draft content, doing some first round mock drafts, and also on the hoops and helmets front. Thursday, April 23rd, first round of the NFL draft, we will be hosting a watch along. Myself and my Hoops and Helmets co-host Carson Williams will be running it again like last year, but nothing. It's going to be great. We're going to get a bunch of people on. Last year was so much fun. Had to run it back again this year, and stay tuned for more updates on that.
All right. And everybody, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your football. Watching the combine, watching this free agency, all of this stuff. Make sure you enjoy your NBA, all your sports you'll be seeing. Spend time with your families. Make sure you go to church on Sunday. Whatever you pray to, go ahead and pray to it. Enjoy this weekend. Drez, Jason, Aaron, all our guys here at Boom Broadcasting. And of course, I'm Shannon Smith. And this is Quick Hits.